I'm Mark Halley and Mr. Saltwater Tank, coming to you on behalf of SaltwaterAquarium.com. The corals that we're going to keep in the budget reef tank are photosynthetic, and that means they need light to grow. They're going to need stronger lights than what we used on the budget build tank, so we've got to do some upgrades. Now, the lights that we're going to use on the budget reef won't work with a hood that came with a budget built tank. So take off the hood, wipe it down, and store it for future use. Since the hood that came with the budget built tank is going bye-bye, that means the top of your tank is going to be left wide open. That can cause two headaches that'll help you avoid. First, jumpers. Some saltwater fish are more prone than jumping than others, so to keep your fin friends in your tank, you're going to need a lid for your tank. An aquarium without a lid will also evaporate more water, which means you'll have to refill your tank with fresh water more frequently. Remember that in a saltwater tank, when water evaporates, the salt is left behind, which raises the amount of salt in the water, which is called salinity. If you replace the evaporated water with salt water, your tank's salinity will rise to the point that is toxic for your fish and coral. That means you want to be topping off your tank with fresh water, which means more RODI water is going to be used, which could mean more trips to your local fish store if you don't have your own RODI unit. Two solutions for lids for your budget reef are a glass top kit, screen top kit. Glass top kit is very easy to assemble and will fit snugly on the budget tank. You'll need to wipe it down weekly to keep it clean, as once it gets dirty, it will block light, which we don't want. The screen top kit isn't prone to getting dirty, requires more assembly effort, but it won't cut down on your evaporation or light getting into your tank. Having dealt with jumpers before, I highly recommend you either get a glass top kit or a screen top kit for your budget reef. It's a horrible feeling to find your fin fins dried up on the floor, and what's even worse, your other pets may eat it. Now that lids are handled, back to lighting for the budget reef tank. Currently, reef tank lighting comes in three flavors: metal halides, T5s, light-emitting diodes called LEDs. While metal halides and T5s can work for your reef tanks, given the size of the budget reef and since I'm thinking long-term for you, LEDs are the way to go. They don't need to be frequently replaced like halides or T5s, and they aren't going to cause heat issues for your tank either. Okay, so what LED light to use? Since we're keeping corals in our tanks, an LED light meant for a reef tank is important. Just because a light is an LED, that doesn't make it suitable for a reef tank. That narrows down the choices some, and I'll make choosing a light for your budget reef even easier. For the soft coral budget reef tank, I'm using the Current USA Orbit Marine IC Loop Light. It's a straightforward light that's easy to mount, and you control it through an app on your smartphone. And it integrates with the Current USA Loop Wave Pump, which I talked about in the Flow episode. An important part of the Budget Reef series is to show you good, better, best scenarios. So if you're looking for a light with more control, one that's better suited for hard and mixed reef tanks, and one that you can keep with you on future builds, the Aqua Illuminations Prime is what I'm using on the hard coral budget reef tank. Now the Prime integrates with the AI app, and it integrates with AI water pumps, which we're using on the hard coral budget reef tank as well. One nice feature of LEDs is their controllability, and controllability allows us to set on and off times, intensity, color temperature, also known as spectrum. The sun isn't always up, and the lights don't always need to be on in your reef tank. Now, both of the lights on the budget reef tanks have built-in timers to automatically turn them on and turn them off. You're going to need to set their schedule, and there's two simple steps for determining when to turn on and when to turn off your lights. First, ideally your reef tank's lights aren't on more than 10 hours a day. The next question is, when do you want to see your tank? Do you want to see it before you leave in the morning or when you get home at night? To answer that question, ask what's a normal day for you look like. Meaning, do you leave the house early and have more free time in the evening, or do you leave your house later in the day and come back later at night? Abiding by the 10-hour rule, if you wanted to see your tank lit up at 6 a.m. before you leave for the day, the lights would have to go off at 4 p.m. before you get home. If you wanted to see your tank lit up at 8 p.m. when you got home, then your light should come on no earlier than 10 a.m. Once you've got your on-off time set, it's time to set the color spectrum. Spectrum is a highly debated topic, and as a newbie, keep it simple and set your lights for between 12,000 and 18,000 K. What you need to understand about Kelvin at this point is that a lower K is yellower looking light like you'll find in your house, and a higher Kelvin number is bluer light like you'll see on reef tanks. The blue light makes the colors in your coral and your fish pop, so you want a bluer light. Anywhere between 12,000 or 18,000 K is fine, and I recommend you try each setting on your tank and see what's most pleasing to you. Next thing to set, intensity. A common mistake saltwater aquariums hobbyists make is to believe that LEDs don't look that bright Therefore, they need to be turned way up. The truth is, the human eye is a poor judge of intensity, especially in the higher Kelvin lights found in reef tanks. Different lights have different intensities, so here's my recommendation for the budget build lights. For the current orbit marine light, 100% intensity is fine, especially if you have a glass top on the tank. For the AI Prime light, start at 50% intensity and see how your tank reacts. If your corals lose their color, called bleaching, then turn down the intensity of the light. Also, if you see a big algae outbreak, that's another sign to turn down the intensity of the light. A fun feature of the LEDs is to have the intensity ramp up and ramp down to simulate the sun rising and setting. You can set up a ramp by starting with a low intensity and then ramping up to a higher intensity. For a downward ramp, start from a high intensity and then ramp down to a low setting. The exact settings of your LED is part science and part personal preference, so follow my guidelines and then adjust the time, intensity, and color spectrum once you learn what you like. Now that we've got flow and lighting handled, it's time to talk water chemistry, and I'll cover that topic in the next episode.